All right, there we are. Can you hear me? Coury looks like
I don't hear you at all.
Coury doesn't look like he hears me. Why does he not hear me? Let's find out.
I don't know what it is that you're doing, but I don't hear you. I just hear the game audio.
Okay, you hear me now?
Now I hear you.
Okay. All right. Don't know why that happened, but still need to sort of hone in on the settings for my revised audio setup. Can everyone hear me and Coury good?
Hopefully. So what did you change in your audio? Like I know that is it just because of the way you worked in your new receiver?
Well, that instigated me wanting to work on the audio for the streams. But I mean, the main thing was for backloggery streams, we needed it so that guests could hear all those alerts, right?
Yeah.
And the problem was that Voice Meter Banana is a really interesting piece of software, but the changing your audio settings from week to week, is extraordinarily difficult because for whatever reason, you can copy your settings exactly the same way you had the last time, and it just doesn't work the same way for unknown reasons.
Unknown reasons.
So okay. I came up with a different solution that's going to not cause me to swap audio devices as much, but I'm not sure I copied my settings to the MLiG stream profile quite properly. So that's, I think, why that error happened.
And, we've kind of mentioned a little bit just here and there saying maybe we should do some stuff like with audio to try to make the stream more exciting.
Or and maybe we can. Maybe we can. Man, I don't know about you, but I had a mostly entirely worthless day.
Worthless day?
Like trying extraordinarily hard to make something useful happen and pretty much completely failing.
Oh, wow. I mean, I get it.
I mean, I was working on the episode, but I was confounded by Windows XP issues at every turn. And the software that I need to use only works in Windows XP. I mean, it might work on Windows 98, maybe even Vista, but it does not work on Windows 7. It does not work on Windows 10. So I had the computer that I used in the first part of college, I had that up and running as of a few weeks ago. And then last Sunday I discovered, it's not powering on anymore. It was working a few weeks before that. And so I was like, well, I kind of wanted to get a new power supply anyway. I didn't really trust the power supply that was in there. Yeah. And so I went to the grid yesterday and got a power supply, because I didn't want to, pay the price for a more modern power supply, especially because what I mostly needed was Molex connectors, and a lot of power supplies I don't think even come with Molex connectors anymore. And
well, I mean, you can get the adapters, but
I wanted to get this up and running quickly. Right?
Yeah.
I didn't want to be fiddling with a whole bunch of parts and not knowing what was going to happen. So anyway, I get that in and it still doesn't power on.
Uh-oh.
Well, then I started to wonder, is there a chance it's the power button? Maybe the power button the computer isn't working. And so I Google, how do you turn on a computer without a power button? And I read that if you put a screwdriver, or some metal objects to bridge the two pins where the power header goes for the front panel, it'll turn on. I didn't like the idea of doing that, but I assumed it was safe-ish. And I did that, and it did power on. And so I started using it, but then I discovered that the animation software is really not I was loading up my old projects and it was not running very smoothly because this was actually not the computer that I mostly use it in. I built a better computer, but I don't have that one anymore, or at least I don't think I do. I don't have the case for it anymore, but I think I might have the motherboard and CPU. In fact, so I had that. It was like, I'm like, it's not running as well as I hoped, but whatever, it'll be fine. And then for some reason, I'm like not at all concerned about this. And then I don't know, probably 5 a.m., I'm like starting to stir from sleep thinking oh man, what can I do about this? How can I make this work better?
Yeah.
And then I end up being awake and it takes me forever to fall back asleep. And you know what? When I was finally I did fall back asleep eventually. It took a while, but right when I was almost about to fall asleep, you said a few weeks ago, you have a thing where some random words just pop into your head before you fall asleep.
Yeah.
Like a bucket of Franks.
Yeah, bucket of Franks.
Of Franks. Well, that happened to me last night when I almost fell back asleep. I don't know.
Molex power supply, probably.
No.
A bucket of Molex.
It was don't buy chicken.
Oh.
Which sounds kind of ominous.
Yeah.
I did not buy any chicken today. I don't know if that could have played into that decision or not. But anyway, so I think, well, you know what? I could just install Windows XP on another hard drive and run it in my somewhat older computer, but it has a GTX 960 in it. And apparently that's the newest GTX graphics card that has Windows XP drivers. I'm like,
oh, cool.
I'm like, perfect. That's amazing.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, the installation for Windows XP would crash every time. And it was and I tried it on several hard drives because the error was giving me a message thinking it was the hard drive. What you woofing about, huh? What you woofing about?
She's saying you should have. Oh, is it Sandy?
Yeah.
She's like, how come you didn't buy any
chicken?
But then so I think, oh, this would be great. But see, the old motherboard has what is it called? I think it's an AGP slot. It doesn't have a PCI Express.
Right.
So I can't use the 960 in it. So
right.
I was trying to figure out okay, well then what can I do to make this run better? So then I've had this motherboard with an ATI CPU sitting on. It's just been sitting around for a while, and I was like, you know what? Was that maybe the computer? Was that the computer that because I didn't have the case for it anymore for whatever reason. I was like, maybe that's the computer that I had my senior year in college. Maybe that was it. Because I remember it was pretty early in PCI Express and SATA and stuff like that. And it had only 2 SATA ports. It has an IDE. It has a PCI Express. And I'm like, oh, this could be perfect because it's got IDE. I can use the hard drive that I already have Windows XP installed on, et cetera, et cetera. that computer, it won't even post. Nothing will come up on screen. Sometimes the fan stops spinning after like a few seconds. Sometimes it doesn't. It might need thermal paste reapplied, but I suspect it's more
Did
issues.
Did you say thermal pastry?
Thermal paste might need to be reapplied.
I know. I just thought it was funny because I thought you said thermal pastry. And I just started thinking of like a thermal, like you had to squirt out some like donut filling on it.
But anyway, so that was going to be like a great solution if I could get that motherboard to boot up, but I couldn't. And so then I was like, well, okay, I'll just move my old motherboard, wasn't running great or anything, but I'll just move it to another case so that I don't have to do the janky screwdriver thing to get it to power on.
Yes.
So I took what was the computer I was using when we started MLiG. I took that motherboard out of that case. I put my old 2001, 2002 motherboard in that case, hooked everything up, and it still wouldn't power on with the power button. And I couldn't get it to power on with the screwdriver anymore either. So I just don't even know. And the last thing I was doing before the stream was installing a Windows XP virtual machine on my editing computer. And I have zero experience with that. It just finished installing. Because I feel like that's like kind of my only chance at this point. All I had time to do was just like open up a window and like drag it around a little bit, and it wasn't like ultra smooth. I don't know if there are solutions to making it run better. Like I don't know if I don't know how like the GPU handles tasks through that like emulation layer, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sure makes me a little more reluctant to care about building a retro gaming PC because I thought I had it. Because it's like a Pentium 4, and I thought, you install Windows 98 on that, get a Voodoo, like all I need is a Voodoo card, and I'm golden.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like that would be.
But now I can't even get to power on. So I don't know. Like I feel like it's the.
Have you tried filling it with beans?
I heard that's part of what helps keep it cool. But yeah, so hopefully that virtual machine will work well. That wasn't how I wanted to do it, but if I get it working pretty good, it might actually be a pretty streamlined method of like getting footage and just implementing it straight into Adobe. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you need to do.
See, Pentium 4 with Voodoo, Pentium 3, yeah, but 4 is complicated. See, I don't know these things. See,
I never had a Pentium 4.
I have a computer laying around that was something from work, and I just ripped it out of the case because I mean it was going to be thrown away. It's a Pentium 2.
Okay.
But I don't even know if it has an AGP slot or no. Well, Voodoo cards are PCI anyway, I think.
Well, they're AGP. I mean, I know Voodoo 3. The Voodoo 3 that I had was AGP.
But anyway, I'm so glad I'm going to be playing a super very console-like experience tonight because I sure need to chill out with some chill 3D platforming. And also, just because, she's about to fall asleep here, I just wanted to say that Sandy had a bath yesterday. So I don't know if her her radiance comes through, but it's like the first time you had a bath in over a year, I think.
Ooh.
Smell kind of good. Yeah. Yeah. Feel soft and clean. But you're a little less fluffy because you're all combed out. And all your downy fur is kind of missing. Oh, you look so sleepy. I'm sorry I bothered you. I'll put you back over here.
So there's a couple of donations. There was 11 minutes ago. There was a donation from Cade the Squirrel, which I believe used to be Yo-Yo Yoshio.
That's right.
Saying, "Wowie, I'm here for 2 streams in a row. I finally pulled the trigger on buying the Innocent 15A1F, a 15-inch OLED monitor per John Linneman's recommendation. Going to use it for my retro gaming setup with a RetroTink 5X one, a small OLED monitor for ages." So it's funny you say that because I was thinking about it for a while there. Like you and I were
both like, because we both want like a 4K. Is that the one that's 4K capable or not?
No, it's not 4K. The 4K capable one is like $600. This one is like, I think that there was a deal on it for like, had like a $30 coupon off and plus a discount, and it was like $200.
I felt like an OLED was overkill for what I wanted to do with it. Like it was more of a workhorse monitor, not something to like enjoy the picture of, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that was
similar. Like I just want something I can move around. Like if I needed to, use a monitor over at the other, at the shooting desk for something. But that's cool. I mean, like I should watch John. I think John did a video on it, but I have not seen the video. And like I'm sure it's amazing. I like the idea of just having something that is like that small. And I would like, but I also like the ones that have the fold over covers, almost like they're like iPads. Like that would be cool too.
So someone brought this game up last stream and said, "Oh, we should stream it. It's a really good 3D platformer that just came out."
Yeah,
I think it's only on Switch and Steam right now.
Yeah.
And we actually like well, it wasn't last week. It was
2 weeks ago because
it was 2 weeks ago.
After.
The developer reached out and asked if we'd like a review code, and so
yeah.
So now we're streaming it.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was like the very next day. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's I mean, I think it's supposed to be pretty short, but it's also like $5.
Yeah,
it has a demo on the eShop, so
it's
just before
they would have a demo for a $5 game.
That's pretty crazy, right? Like, well,
yeah.
That was kind of how I
confidence.
It does. I mean, that's kind of how I discovered that what's the developer called? The one that did like Bot Vice and Strikey Sisters and
so this is the same developer?
No. But they have very inexpensive games on the eShop and they have demos as well. So I mean that was how I discovered them, and I ended up buying like 2 or 3 of their games. So
yeah, and this seems like something that I can already tell that it seems like something that if you had played the demo of it, you'd probably be like, oh, I'd buy that for $5.
Exactly. Oh, look, you can. Oh, well, I screwed up, but I discovered you could do a double jump after falling. You don't have to necessarily jump first. But anyway, like it controls pretty good. I tried the tutorial right before the stream because when I redeemed the code, I just like played the first level.
Yeah.
So I've already played this level before, so I just started a new file. But it was funny because like when I did the demo, I'm just like, oh, the game is so like simple and intuitive. It's like it does not need a tutorial, but it's there if you don't understand 3D platformers.
Yeah. There was $4.99 from Silly Jokes 34.
Silly Jokes.
Thank you. Saying, love your channel. Could you start doing PS3 content, which feels like the bridge between retro and current? The PS3 RGB would be awesome. That would be kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I just spent a lot of time working on with PS3 and Xbox 360 for the Final Fantasy 13 DF Retro. That is available to Digital Foundry Patreon supporters right now.
I mean, we should really see. I mean, that stuff could probably it's probably going to be released. Like,
yeah, John and I talked about a little. Like, I'm still not sure if he ever talked to Rich to get like a firm like what's our thing going to be for releasing to our patrons, like as a general rule going forward. But I mean, the thing is, their patrons do pay the retro tier patrons do pay quite a bit more than our patrons, so
right,
it is fair for them. But anyway, that'll probably release publicly. Sometime this month. So
or in December or next month.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean December.
Basically,
my mind is already in December.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's some heavy PS3 and 360 stuff. But yeah, I mean, PS3 is kind of becoming retro. Like my definition of retro, like as far as like say Analog Frontiers is concerned, for instance, is I don't know if there's any point in breaking these purple crystals, but you can do it. My rule for Analog Frontiers was
I bet those purple crystals make those platforms that you're jumping on appear.
I don't know. I think they were there. I think that was like a secret exit that I did there. Wait. What is this? Oh, okay. But anyway, for Analog Frontiers, I've defined it as anything with analog output by, is this primary? I mean, I don't quite count Xbox 360, even though it launched without HDMI. But anyway.
Mm-hmm. There's also $10 from Tender Brew.
Oh.
With a pretty bold statement.
Uh-oh.
Saying there will be a Nintendogs game next year. Save this post. You're welcome.
I
couldn't be less excited about that.
I feel like that I could definitely see Nintendogs being like a good filler game, or a good game a good filler game if it's going to take a while longer for the next full-on Switch platform to come out, the successor. I could see that as being a good filler game, or a good like cross-gen game to kind of be like, hey, hey kids, it's still worth having just a regular old Switch.
Yeah.
I could see Nintendogs playing roles like that.
Nintendo Dogs, yeah, maybe.
I assume you have never
I haven't played any of them, so I can't.
I mean, I got the first one because
I don't care.
I think I want to say it came out the same day as Advance Wars Dual Strike.
Oh,
am I right on that? I want to say
I didn't have a DS yet. I got a DS when the Lite came out.
I mean, kind of the main reason I got Nintendogs, I don't have it anymore. Like, I kind of want to get it again, but
you have your own Nintendo dog.
I do have my own Nintendo. And did you know that Shigeru Miyamoto is a Sheltie guy too?
Really?
He is.
I didn't know that.
Yep. And I got the Nintendogs that had Shelties in it. My Sheltie I had growing up had just passed away later, like September the year before.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of like that was my dog for a brief little bit, I guess, but the game didn't hold my interest for all that long.
There's also, actually, Gaming Blows has been a member for 26 months. 26! That's crazy. But Gaming Blows has, hi boys, question. Do you think the Mr. Saturn core is up to snuff already, or is Fenrir the way to go for the foreseeable future? So I have installed the beta core, but I have not used it at all. I gotta be honest. I would probably say that it won't be up to snuff until it sees an official release. So
which who knows how long that could take. I saw it in use at Retro World Expo, but I've never tried it on my own time.
Now, I mean, there's a fairly recent version of it, but I wouldn't say that it's a replacement for the real system at all. A lot of games the music doesn't work right, so I would definitely stick with what you have.
Yeah.
But it's going to be great once it's officially released.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it meets all expectations. Do they really know yet whether it's going to require a dual RAM system?
I mean, I don't think that it's been confirmed either way. I know that there is non-dual RAM and dual RAM versions of the beta versions, but
okay,
it's gonna be pretty amazing once it's fully released. The Mister continues to impress, I think, and just the amount of work, especially with the PS1 core. The PS1 core, there's just new stuff being added to it constantly. And it's really cool that you can have all kinds of enhancements, but also, play it as close to real hardware as possible too. There's also $5 from Andy64. Thank you.
What?
Saying, I think Scarlet and Violet will get fixed eventually, just like Cyberpunk did. Playing games on the release date is usually not the best way to go. So I think the big thing is that this is the first time that it's been a game of, published by Nintendo has been this big of a mess.
Yeah, I mean, although really I think technically the Pokemon Company is the publisher. I mean, Nintendo is associated, but it's kind of unclear to me what percentage of ownership and rights Nintendo really has to it. But yeah, the thing though is if it was a first party game to release in this state, I would believe it would be fixed. But the fact of the matter is, Game Freak has never had technical chops. They never have. Their games have always sort of been a little sticky feeling.
The thing is, you say, if it was a first party game, then it would get fixed. But I realize that it's not a first party game, but I think that most people who don't really follow things,
they think it is, and it's a bad look for Nintendo.
It may as well be a first party game.
Yes, you're right. I mean, and kind of what I think will happen is, they never did which is unusual. They never did a like a sequel or update version of Sword and Shield. You know,
right?
And
I mean,
I wonder if
it got DLC and patches.
I guess that's true.
I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't pay attention after release. But I just beat the game and that was it. This is weird. So you can like pass the goal. Like this is the second level that's done this, where you can kind of just go off
I think it's
the grid.
The purple things. You have to destroy enough of them because those crystals are purple, but also, like it's like the same kind of purple. It seems like
maybe, but anyway, so I don't know. It's it's such a strange situation. The thing is, I don't know if Game Freak is capable of fixing it, like with their current staff. I'm sure time was the primary enemy, but I mean, like Game Freak's like technical talent has never really been there.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I like all this stuff is kind of new to me because I never really paid attention that much. But I'm just thinking about getting Scarlet and Violet because my kids, like, I want to get it for them for Christmas because they can play it together. And I think, and they're kind of like, their interest in Pokemon has had a big resurgence because all their friends are like trading like the cards at school. Even though like it's kind of funny. They're all like trading these cards and they don't have any kind of any like standard for it. Like they just base it on like hit points and certain things. Like not like, oh, what's this card worth, or like how is it good for like in a deck or something like that. Because they're not like playing it for real.
Yeah.
Everyone there is just, they've come up with their own system for trading. And they're way into that. So I thought like, oh, I'll get them like the new one because like, the frame rate's bad and this and that, but like my kids, they're not gonna care at all. Like they just want to play the game.
It's not just the frame rate though. Like, I mean, have you seen some of the textures are like so bad, like not just low resolution, but like obnoxiously tiled too. Like it's some of the worst texture work I've like ever seen.
Yeah, but I don't think a 7 and a 10-year-old are gonna.
No,
care.
But still, like it's more than the frame rate.
They should just like.
But what I wonder is, I guess what I was trying to say earlier, what I wonder is, are they going to have are they just going to do like like an ultraviolet and deep scarlet version or something like that? And like just make that a free update, but also like release a physical, I guess.
Yeah. Well, they did that they didn't do that with Sword and Shield, but they did release a physical version that had the DLC on the cart, but it was like priced as if buying the game with the DLC. I see. So maybe they'll do something like that.
But yeah, I mean, something needs to be done, and hopefully the fact of the matter is, like, normal games press are complaining about how it looks and how it performs. Like, It's not just Digital Foundry that's barking up this tree, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's everybody, and I understand. It's the thing is, it's like yes, like it's like I should be saying like, oh no, like I shouldn't stand for this, but like I'm not gonna tell my kids like I'm not gonna get this free because the textures are bad and the frame rate is bad.
Well, yeah. I asked for it for Christmas, although that was before everything was like it. Like I probably wouldn't have if.
I mean, in some ways, it seems like the glitches are like hilarious, and I can't imagine.
Yeah, but like I probably should have.
Like it's kind of worth it.
Like I should have probably waited for like a new version though. Like really, but. It's too late now. But I may end up like waiting to play it, or maybe it'll be in a good state by then. Who knows? But
yeah, well, if they haven't patched it, but I feel like the amount of backlash they're getting this time, like I feel like they're gonna do something. Like Nintendo will probably make them do something.
Because Nintendo is like basically the most technically competent developer out there right now, because they're doing amazing stuff with like really low power hardware.
Yeah. But maybe there will be a super switch in the next year and everything. It'll run.
It'll run better. I mean, it won't fix the textures, but it'll run better.
Yeah.
So, I mean that's what I'm holding out hope for a lot of things, I guess.
I don't know. It's like, yeah. I mean, Master Saber says, I can say you can't have this for Christmas because it's a bad, unfinished product, and you deserve better. But I mean, this is like in that case, it's the same thing. Like, all they really want outside of that is like points for is Robux.
Yeah.
Which, like, I'm not entirely sure if that's better or worse.
Yeah, I mean, Roblox is like, yeah. Like, I guess kids just want their jank these days. I mean, hey, guess what? I grew up on N64, so I was playing games with frame rate targets as bad as what Pokemon Violet and Scarlet dipped to.
Yeah.
Like, that was the target. But, you know, like, I can get myself just like in the N64 mindset when I play N64 games. That doesn't bother me. I can certainly enjoy games with poor performance. I prefer them to perform well. You know, playing a nice, smooth 60 FPS games like this is great. But, you know, I don't have to have it.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I should. What have I been? I've just been like wasting my life this past like 30 minutes of playing this by not having black frame insertion on. There we go.
I do want to say that there was $19.99 from Tony Escobar. Thank you. With no comment, but I did see him say, you know, like, this is his first time using the super chat.
Oh, and, is it?
I just wanted to say, keep up the good work.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll
do our best.
I mean, I should have the episode done by the stream next week. Like if it's not out, it's probably going to come out like Monday. Because but ideally I'd like for it to maybe come out like by Saturday or something. We'll see, because like, I mean, let me put it this way. If I spend more time on it than that, then it's not even worth it.
Yeah. You've probably already spent too much time on it.
Well, I've spent too much time getting it done, but the reality is, like, I've only just now really gotten to where I truly have time to work on it. Mm-hmm. Because I'm finally in a position where, like, I basically should have almost no freelance work between now and the end of the year. I might be occupied with Audi for a couple of days in mid-December. Mm-hmm. But, like, aside from that, like, nothing should distract me from this episode, Analog Frontiers Part 4, and the year-end episode. I mean, it should be very doable. Oh, weird. I just realized I'm getting.
There's also $2 from Jonathan Hinson. Thank you.
Getting echo on myself.
Or also $3 from Eric Schussler. Jonathan Hinson was after, so I'll do Eric Schussler's first. $3 from Eric Schussler saying, will the PSVR 2 be digital only? Horizon VR is up for pre-order digitally, but no games have been announced as having a physical release.
Oh, wait.
Be honest, I've barely been following the release of PSVR 2 because I was just like, it is like way too expensive to be getting day one with like that game lineup.
That would definitely kind of suck, though. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, Sony might be. I mean, obviously, all of the platform holders want to go digital only.
But I mean, I think it's silly to.
But the thing is, like, Limited Run will definitely do some physicals.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, I would definitely be worried about if the high-end Sony first-party stuff isn't getting physicals, though. That would definitely be concerning and would make me a fair bit less enthusiastic about the system.
Yeah, especially, there is no way, like, if they were going to charge that price for the hardware and then also, like, not have games available physically, I'd be like, I don't think that I would buy it.
It would, it'd be a tough sell, I'll admit.
I mean, I'm going to do what I did with the VR1, and I'm just going to wait at least a year after to see because in case there is like any like slight hardware modifications, because we got the VR1. I mean, it was probably like almost 2 years, I think, after. Maybe a year.
Yeah. I mean, it might have been more than that, honestly.
Maybe 2 years.
But I would.
You're able to like make the pass-through box like more efficient and just like the wire's a lot thinner.
But there's only one wire now, so.
Right. That's what I mean.
I don't know how much they can optimize beyond.
What if they make it so that it's possible to be wireless?
I don't know. But like I'm definitely going to wait until there's a killer app. I mean, Half-Life Alyx, an Astrobot game.
Yeah, I mean, I will wait for an Astrobot.
I mean, I'm definitely curious about a lot of the stuff, but there's just not a killer app. Like, the launch lineup is, everyone admits, pretty weak.
Yeah.
But in terms of specs, it sounds like it's just an amazing
price
system. I'm not surprised by the price, though.
See, I feel like even if it was just like $100 cheaper.
Well, but I mean, it's the thing is like
I get that it's good hardware and everything like that.
PSVR 1 was much less impressive hardware compared to what was being released at the time. Now, this is kind of considered more impressive than most VR hardware out there right now. So
maybe so, but
and I think the reason people are having a hard time with the price is because it's a console, and you expect things to be cheaper. You expect an accessory for the console to not be more expensive than the console.
Yes.
But still, I understand why it's the way it is. And I don't think it's surprising.
Is it just more powerful because they can do like higher resolution?
Well,
I mean, is there anything else?
It's a higher resolution and comes with inside out tracking built into the headset, so you don't need a camera.
But do you need that with like the Oculus? Like the Quest?
I guess Quest is inside out. I'm not sure.
I think Quest is completely wireless too, isn't it?
Well, it is, but the thing with Quest is it's not that it's wireless, it's that it does the processing in the headset. And that's why people are excited about PSVR 2, because VR, because of the popularity of the Oculus Quest, developers have been targeting Quest tier hardware for their game experiences, which means it can't be very demanding. And the difference is you're going to be able to, tap into, the competent power of the PS5 for VR experiences now. And because everyone has said, like, after like Half-Life Alyx, VR has been kind of devoid of truly, like, high-end experiences, anything with much of a wow factor. Like, it's been kind of downhill since Half-Life Alyx is the what I have gathered from people saying. Yeah. So there's, it is the fact that it is, I mean, yes, I believe you can connect the Oculus Quest into a PC, but the difference is you don't have to. So the developers ensure that the experience is good for people who can't tap into the computer.
Yeah. Well,
so that's I guess considered sort of the downfall of where VR is at currently.
Well, I mean, so the Valve is the Index, right? Like, how does that compare? Is that more powerful?
I want to say I've heard that. I don't know exactly all of the spec differences, but from what I've heard, it sounds like the PS VR2 and the Valve Index are kind of like, maybe one could possibly have an advantage in one area and the other could have an advantage in another area, but it sounds like on the whole, the PSVR2 will probably be competing for the top spot in terms of headset quality, in terms of controller input quality. And see, that's another thing about the PSVR2. I want to say the PSVR1 launched at $400, I think, which is the same price of the system, and it didn't come with Move controllers.
Right.
Which, were needed for some games and, was not even really the ideal sort of input. They were kind of just using what they already had. Now they've developed, controllers that are actually like properly designed for VR from the get-go. So, I mean, it sounds like it should be a significantly more robust experience.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, I feel like if it needs to have, I guess a Half-Life Alyx caliber.
Yeah, it does.
Game to like even remotely justify it.
I agree, and that's why I'm not getting one at launch, even though I want to try it, but I don't want to pay for it.
I mean, if they had, I guess it comes down to how many games are going to receive patches, also.
Right. I mean,
it was backwards compatible with stuff.
Like nothing about it.
I'd be like, yeah, nothing is compatible. Which
and I don't want to get too spoiled on the quality of the new one when I've still got a backlog of PSVR 1 games, right?
Exactly. Well, exactly. And that's why I was thinking, like, well, I wonder if these games, if they start getting patches, that would be more worth it.
Mm-hmm.
But as it is, like, as a completely, like, standalone thing, like, it's... I don't know. Like, there's nothing about it that I could justify, and we'll see what Astro Box.
Yeah, I want to try it, but yeah, it's not worth it just to try for now, I guess.
Yeah.
So I wonder if you're right about the about smashing all these gems, because in this level, in this world, they're green, and in the other world they were purple, but the platforms to get beyond the exit were still purple.
Yeah, I don't know.
It could also potentially be a time-based thing, maybe. Like if you get to like the platforms will disappear if you take too long or something.
So, getting back to Jonathan Hinson's donation, he had $2. It was almost 20 minutes ago. Hopefully, you're still here. Saying, recently heard a podcaster ask if Zelda: Link to the Past was a Metroidvania.
Oh my!
Are too many games being mislabeled as Metroidvanias? Yes.
Well,
I mean, I think that's. Like,
I mean, it's sort of similar to how I feel like this is less of an issue now in some regards, but
if Link to the Past is a Zeldavania, they might, or is Metroidvania, they should just call the genre Zeldavania.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's absolutely a bonkers thing to ask. Yeah. I mean, you know, there were people who used to call Zelda an RPG, and I feel like that's maybe less of an issue now, but still can happen. I feel like any game that had treasure chests and fantasy trappings, like it used to be people would just call it an RPG even if it wasn't, or if it had a story that made it an RPG.
Right.
Like, I feel like there were and still are, I think, a lot of people who like the only genre they really care about is RPGs, you know, especially like Japanese RPGs. And if they like something that's not an RPG, but it still has some of those trappings of an RPG, like just fantasy themes or whatever that they like, then they'll call it an RPG just because that like is like, oh well, I you know, it's part of what I like, so it has to be an RPG. I don't know.
I mean, I think that maybe the genre Metroidvania, like that title, could probably be retired.
I mean,
there's just so many
I still
of them
think
now.
it's fine. But I saw, what was it? I saw something recently. I can't remember if it was on a game box. It might have been on a box. I can't remember what it was, but like, I want to say it was like a PlayStation game that was like advertised as a Metroidvania. It's like, oh, it's interesting to see the word Metroid there, and Nintendo doesn't do anything about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I'm just sick of the term.
I mean,
almost as sick of the as I am of the genre.
I mean, I am a little tired of the genre for sure. You know, it takes a really special, even, you know, it's just sad that, you know, something like Metroid Dread just didn't feel like anything all that special to us, right?
Right.
But you know what I used to call it, which is not a very catchy name, but I used to call it One Big Level. Like, and it was something I really like. I didn't necessarily think of it as being like Metroid necessarily. I was like, oh, like
an OBL. You call him an OBL?
An OBL. I kind of like that. Yeah, an OBL. I do kind of like that. But I used to call like Metal Gear Solid or Resident Evil. Like, especially like Resident Evil 1, where like they take place in a really sort of unified environment. Like that was in a lot of ways kind of what defined it to me at the time, was that sort of consistency of design. in sort of themes.
Yeah.
Where, you know, instead of like, you know, oh, well, we got to have the ice level and the snow level and the desert level and the volcano level and, you know, all of your typical tropey levels, right?
Yeah.
Instead of that, like, it was like, oh, well, this is just a game about the haunted house. There's, you know, there's not an ice level. Right? You know, like, that was something that, I mean, not that it's a Metroidvania, or an OBL, but that was one of the things that I thought was so interesting about I Am Setsuna, how it like really leans into the snow theme, and like some people are like, oh, like it's just the same environment for the whole game, and it's like, no, but they just like really focused on that ice theme, and I still thought had enough visual variety over the course of the game. I thought it was actually,
in a way that's a lot nicer than just go, oh, here we go with the fire level.
Yeah, exactly.
Every single one of these things that we've had every single time.
Exactly.
Like, why not just like take one style and focus on it and try to make that
have as much variety within that as you can.
Yeah,
that's why I thought was in so few games.
That's
really do that.
You know, more room for creativity than, you know, you got to go through all the different tropes every time.
Yeah, how can you not have a desert level? You have to have a desert level. How can we make this game without a desert level? You can't. But then what if your whole game was a desert though?
Does I Am Setsuna ever go to the sewers?
I don't think it did.
I would be amazed.
I don't think it, I could be wrong, but I don't think it did.
Because I feel like every RPG has a sewer. Seriously, I mean, I don't know if I could think of an RPG that I played that did not have a sewer. So I'd be curious. I mean, that alone would make I Am Setsuna revolutionary.
You still haven't played it, right?
Right, I haven't.
I really liked it. I feel it's underappreciated. Whoa, what is?
Most games have a sewer level. So, Catastrophe is saying that Final Fantasy X doesn't have a sewer level. Does it not?
I can't envision one.
I can't either. You know, I popped that in a couple days ago, and I played it for like 5 hours. I was not anticipating. I was just you know, and the entire time I was just thinking, it is a travesty that I have not played this game in 20 years.
You were playing the PS4 version, I assume?
Yeah. So I just have been playing it.
Yeah, well, you know, I was telling you that was actually what led to me playing Final Fantasy 13 this year. Oh, was I not?
So you popped that in, or you popped in Final Fantasy X?
Well, so yeah, I probably don't need it. I still want to check this out. I don't know if I found everything over here. So John asked me to get footage of Final Fantasy X PS3 version for his 1080p Dream video series, to kind of finish that up, because he didn't have that or Kingdom Hearts, and he ended up getting Kingdom Hearts from someone else I offered, but I guess he didn't think to ask me about that one. But anyway, yeah, so I had a save on the PS3 version already that was kind of in the middle of that opening part with Riku, where you're diving off the ship and stuff like that. It was pretty close to arriving in Besaid. And okay, yeah, I didn't need to do that all again, but I wanted to make sure I didn't miss something. But anyway, so yeah, I was playing that and I was like, I ended up playing for like 4 or 5 hours too. And I was like, man, like I'm having a good time with this. Should I want, like, this is really making me want to replay a Final Fantasy game. But I don't know if like 10 is specifically the one I want to replay right now. And like, I was just like, it was putting me in the mood for 13. And so I replayed that, and then just like coincidentally, like a couple months later, was like when John was like, "Hey, Richard says we should do a DF retro on Final Fantasy 13." And I'm like, "Well, I like just recorded a whole bunch of footage of the game on Xbox Series X." Whoops! Oh, it's fine.
For Love of the Game had donated $2 like 15 minutes ago. Hopefully you're still here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Asking if we've ever played any of the Legacy of Kain games.
I have played
Soul Reaver, right?
I've played Soul Reaver and Soul Reaver 2, and they're excellent.
I played Soul Reaver 1. I haven't finished it though.
I mean, it very much, like, what's funny is I somehow did not, like, a friend had Soul Reaver back in the day, and I was like, oh, this game looks really cool, but I never got it. And then years later, I got it. And, or actually it was on PSN was where I bought it and played through it myself. And somehow I did not know there was a Soul Reaver 2. And Soul Reaver 1 ended on this like crazy cliffhanger. Yeah. It's like very clearly not the end of the story. I'm like, wait, this can't be it, is it? And it's like, oh, there's a Soul Reaver 2. I did not know somehow. Ooh, what's this?
There's a passage down there. I should play one of those next year. I was thinking about maybe making a list of games that I want to play next year. Instead of just like kind of playing things like, you know, like as it strikes me. I was thinking about maybe I'll make a stack of like 10 games and say I'm going to play these games this year for sure.
That's not a bad idea. I mean, sometimes you got to play what strikes you, but I always say that I kind of like scheduled fun too. Like, that's what I love about streams is like, you can be wearing yourself out and focusing so much on getting stuff done, but you can always make time for streams. Mm-hmm. And it's like when you sit down and just like play a game on a stream, it's like, man, that is exactly what I needed.
Yeah. So there was also $8.40 from DT Playthrough saying $1 for each pound gained this week. This is my turkey shame donation.
For each what this week?
Each pound.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, there's it's always gained a little bit of weight. I didn't go to the gym all week. And that's okay. I don't know. Like I had a weird, I'm trying to figure out like what's going on with my body, because like it seems like if I'm eating certain things that are just like making my stomach like really like burn. My wife was like, maybe you have an ulcer. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know like how I would, but maybe. like, but certain things, and I'm finding it to be like mainly anything with chocolate in it is just making my stomach like burn. It burns and it hurts and it's just like uncomfortable.
That's bizarre. I wouldn't think of chocolate.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm trying to keep track of what I eat, and then as soon as I feel that, then I like am writing down what I ate. So I'm trying to figure it out.
I'm not seeing platforms at the end of this one. So I wonder if I like took too long, or there's got to, or maybe I didn't get enough of the cranes.
It's not acid reflux because I don't have any like. I don't have any like.
Here
acid
they
reflux.
Here they are.
Coming up. But we'll see. I'm gonna try and figure that out. But you know, like there's the platforms.
Whoa!
So there's also $2 from Gaming Blows, who said Via Purifico is a sewer level in Final Fantasy X.
That sounds like a sewer level.
Yeah.
Is that like? It seems like something that would be in like the Al Bhed region or something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember so much from that game. That's the thing, is it's been 20 years since I played it, and also, like I said to you, like I didn't really like come around on the game until the ending. I didn't care for it. Like I thought it was okay. I liked it enough to play all the way through it, but I don't think I really thought it was amazing until the ending.
Yeah, I thought the ending was good. The ending was gutsy.
Yeah. So I've never really played through it in a state where I'm thinking like I really like this.
I mean, I generally can rank Final Fantasy X a bit lower myself. I like it. I liked it when I played it, but it was the pace of the game just does not have the energy I feel that the preceding 6 Final Fantasies had. You know, I feel like there is this flow, as different as they all are. There is like a flow to Final Fantasy 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 that just is really full of just like energy, and it's like always like building up these kind of like climactic moments, and you're always just kind of like, oh man, I wonder how this is going to shake out. And Final Fantasy X just like has a much more lackadaisical pace, I feel.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Like, so, you know, like Jekt is the like you know, like the driving force for Tidus, I guess. Like, so does Tidus like just hate Jekt because he's a dick to him? I mean, is that like the main reason he doesn't like him? Because he's just like an asshole to him.
I mean, he is though.
He is, but I mean, he never like does anything. It's not like he's.
Well,
like, maybe he's like smacking him around like a little bit here and there, but.
I mean, he seems pretty mean.
It's just like it seems funny to me that it seems like it would have been something more that like made him hate him that much.
I mean, he wasn't home. He wasn't.
Yeah.
It didn't seem interested in being a dad.
Right. But you know, when he gets teleported to Spira, then
I don't know what's.
I comes around on it, right?
I don't know what's different about, like, everyone seems to love Jecht and Spira. I don't really remember if there's like, I don't really remember if there's any like established character development or anything for him. And like, did he change in Spira, or did he just like, did he just like, or was he always like a good guy and he just didn't know how to show it to Titus? I don't know.
Yeah. And they don't really go into that, do they?
Not that I remember.
I mean, that seems like it would have been more interesting, like a way to, you know, like.
Oh, I feel like I missed something.
Instead of just like having him be like a dick for the sake of just like, you know, being a dick. Why not, like, they didn't like really go into like why he was like that, but maybe they do. I don't know.
Oh,
it's like I don't remember anything about it. For some reason I just thought that there was something more. That he,
I don't know.
Like, didn't like him for like some other reason.
There's got to be a way up there. I'll give it one more try.
Oh, Rears the Blood says he was drunk all the time. In Spirit, he accidentally stabbed a creature while drunk and swore off alcohol. Okay, well, I mean, if he was like it, I mean that adds some. Adds some to it, you know, like that he was like that he was a drunk, so that makes sense a little bit more then.
Yeah.
For some reason I thought that there was something more to it.
It's strange that there's a checkpoint up here.
Anyways, there was $10 from Chicken and Fish.
You can get you some good chicken for $10.
I see chicken and fish, and I think
fresh meat.
Thank you. Saying hi all. Hope everybody's doing good. Spent a bit on sales online since Friday. It'll be hard to go back to work tomorrow. Kind of tired of turkey, so I've been eating SpaghettiOs too. Brave Fencer Musashi forever.
That's a game I really want to replay.
Yeah, same here. I never finished it, so I would like to.
It's not.
You know, I have a save that's like very.
It's pretty short.
That was one of the games that I found on my those Dex Drive saves. I had like a close to like what I think was the end of the game.
Oh well, I mean, you'd have to restart at this point.
Oh, of course.
But yeah, it's. I think it's good.
Did you buy any deals on any games?
Yeah, I bought several.
Yeah. What'd you get?
Well, I don't have a lot of it in hand yet. So when I don't go to GameStop very often. But you know, they're always trying to push their, you know, power up rewards plus whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I when I was there, like in the summer, I was like, well, you know what? Okay, I'll do it, because it's like it's $15. Oops.
For a year?
It's 15. I think so. I think it's $15 for a year, and you get like you accrue points, which can be redeemed for, you know, gift certificates. And you also get like a monthly $5 that I think has to be spent that month. And honestly, I like mostly completely forgot about it. And I wasn't even super clear on like what you get and stuff like that. So I think let a number of rewards that could only be spent in a certain month like expire. But like I had one for November, and I also had like points accrued, which I think just, I don't think were from buying anything. I just had like 1,300 points or something like that, which was able to, you know, I was able to get a $10 gift card. So I was already able to, you know, put a basket together of things that were discounted for Black Friday and get $15 off. So like even forgetting about what I could have been spending, I still have like made back the cost of the subscription. So I need to remember to use the rest of those sometime.
Mm-hmm.
But so I mean, I guess it's not that bad of a deal, and it's not like it had to be spent on used products or anything. So I got I got Tales of Arise, Code Vein, which I was always kind of curious about. That was like $10. I was like, yeah, why not? Gosh, I'm kind of forgetting what some of the others. I ordered Dirt 5 from Best Buy. It was like $15, which like I kind of enjoyed that from the little tinkering around I did with it on Game Pass. So I kind of wanted to get it. Like it was more appealing to me than other like real car games. Like it reminded me of the kind of game like Top Gear Rally or something like that I would have rented like back on the N64.
Right.
So
I'm
trying to think what else I got because it hasn't shipped yet. Like what was weird was Tales of Arise had to be store pickup. And it was like causing me to have difficult. Oh, did I not get? I don't think I got the secret. What's weird is there's like a secret exit to. I don't know. I might have to go back and collect something if I get like a bad end or something. But anyway, I also ordered from. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, this is a little intimidating. This seems like those Mario 3D World levels that have like moving platforms on the beat or something, probably. I had to pick it up at a different GameStop, so I haven't. I'll go tomorrow. But I saw that they had like a number of like Mario toys at like half off.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one that's like it's like the Bowser's airship. And I was like, you know, like that's worth $20 to me. I'd like a model playset sized Bowser airship. Like I almost never buy stuff like that. But I was like, you know, because like that's one of the things I talk about in this upcoming episode is like how I loved the airships in Mario 3 so much, and like it was like such a disappointment to me that they weren't like really in the series anymore. And now they are. They're like, airships have a pretty big presence, but like I've like always been obsessed with airships though. Like Teddy Ruxpin had an airship, and I had the Teddy Ruxpin airship. Got for Christmas one year, man. Like and then like Mario 3 had the airships, and then I got into Final Fantasy and it has the airships. I've always been obsessed with airships.
Since we are basically talking about it, there was $9.99 from Sean Quinn.
Oh,
thank you. Saying what was the best Black Friday deal you guys got this year, or at least tempted by, and also followed up with a $4.99. Saying forgot to mention mine was a pasta maker.
Oh man, I find the timing of this
cool.
to be
Like that's
hard.
like learning like making your own pasta. Like that's some serious stuff. I was thinking about, when I finished my improv class, like I got 3 more, and I was thinking about what, I've said before, I think I'm going to take, take classes, like one class at a time, just not going to be improv, it'll be something else. And I was like, oh, maybe I should, like, as someone who doesn't like cooking that much, maybe I wonder if I could find like a cooking class for people who like don't like to cook. So that might be my next thing. But
I mean, yeah, I don't think I got like a crazy deal. I feel like maybe the best deal was I got the Judgment games, Judgment and Lost Judgment PS5 versions, and they were like $15 or something like that, which surprised me. I didn't think they would be that cheap. Like, there's a number, you can get games for $15 and $20, but for some reason I just didn't expect those to be that cheap, because I didn't even think the PS5 versions had been out that long. But I don't know, maybe they have.
Yeah, well, Lost Judgment was one of the ones that I got. Although I already had Judgment. I feel like I got that one for $20 at some point. Like the PS5 version when it came out. So I got Lost Judgment. I got Alan Wake remastered for the PS5. That's $14.99. I got Death Stranding Director's Cut PS5 for $20. I bought a 10 terabyte hard drive to add to our NAS.
Oh, nice.
I saw a 1 terabyte internal SSD, the SanDisk SSD Plus. It was $50, and I was like, you know what? I can always find a use for that. What was it that I was thinking I could use it for? Oh, I was thinking, I'm gonna hack one of my PS3s, so I would just put the SSD in it.
Ah, okay.
I got the Mario Party Superstars that you recommended.
Oh yeah, that was like $30, right?
Yeah, and you know what? We kind of talked about this a little bit. I don't know if people realize this. I'm sure everybody does, but Nintendo puts patches on the cart, like when they do like reprints or additional printings, and the Mario Superstars that I got had 1.1.1 on it, and there was no update. And I'm just thinking about like how that is going to create chaos eventually, like in collectors markets. We're like, we're going to find, this version has all the patches on the cart. It's going to be craziness, I think.
And it's going to be really hard to tell.
It's impossible to tell. I mean, you can't buy something sealed and be able to tell.
Yeah.
It's going to be absolute chaos.
So get it now.
Well, don't buy.
This is part of the reason I'm like, maybe I should have got Pokemon later.
Exactly. Exactly. If you really care, like buy a copy of the game when it's like been out for a year, and you'll probably at least get something.
I will say that
the Animal Crossing I got didn't have like the newest patches on it, but it definitely wasn't 1.0 on it.
You know what I got. One of the things I threw on my GameStop order just because it was like so cheap, and like I've like never seen the game in action. I've never heard anyone talk about it, and I'm just like I've always been curious about this, and it's $5 and it comes with everything. Is Elder Scrolls Online. Like it,
but don't you have to pay like a monthly fee?
I don't think so. I mean, I guess it's possible, but that was like when Final Fantasy 14 stuck by that, people thought that it was not going to succeed because even then, that was like considered an outdated model. And it's been able to be quite successful in spite of its subscription fee. But I kind of don't think there is a subscription fee to that. But I mean, it was $5. I was like, I'll try it just to see what it's like, because I honestly, and it has like it comes with everything. So I don't know. I just wanted to try it. $5. I thought it was worth just seeing what that's about. But what else was I going to say? What were we talking about before that? Oh yeah, the Nintendo patches. But you know, I gotta say, I'm surprised that I'm surprised that Mario Party Superstars has not gotten any like significant free updates yet. Because I mean, it's a great game. Like it's crazy how, both like how good looking and how well performing it is. Like it is like a really good looking Switch game and runs at 60 frames per second, which I feel like wouldn't. I don't know. It was just not something I expected for that game. Especially because like the Hudson originals were like kind of ugly. Like they were always like kind of bad looking for N64. So I was surprised. But as good of a game as it is, I always assumed that it was going to be getting some free updates.
Well, didn't like Super Mario Party got like a big update, didn't it?
And
like,
it was a long,
when it was like at the end of its life, essentially.
Yeah, so it's possible it could still get more. But I mean, it's got 100 mini games and 5 boards, and I feel like 5 boards is not as many as it should be. I mean, the mini game variety is okay. I mean, it could be better, but it's acceptable. But I do feel 5 boards is a little on the lacking side.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I think it's a great game.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we should play.
It's a great reintroduction to Mario Party for people like me who really hasn't been into it since the N64 or GameCube. Like the last one I played significantly was 4 on GameCube. And then like I bought 5 and barely played it. And then I bought 6 and also barely played it. And I'm like, why am I still buying these?
Yeah, basically. I mean, this is like the first one I bought. I guess I have, was it 9 that was on the Wii?
I don't know. I very much lost track of the series, honestly.
Yeah, I only got 9 because I found it at Goodwill. Oh, maybe 8 is. I don't know. I could probably just go look, but I never played it though. But you know, like maybe maybe I can play with the family.
I mean, Mario Party is infamous for making people mad. But I don't know, it doesn't make me mad. I think it's fun, even if it can be devious at times.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, you know, Bob released that video on that little that mini handheld oscilloscope.
Oh yeah.
Like I got that before, because I saw the video via Patreon, and I said I'm just gonna buy that because, you know, it's just good to have on hand.
Mm-hmm.
But I might take that one just to put it under the tree for me. I'll tell you one thing though. So I watched Gremlins with the kids.
Yeah.
And you know, like it's you know, it's a movie. It takes place around Christmas. It's kind of a nice thing to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So my kids, like they both still like fully believe in Santa. Although my daughter is kind of like maybe getting an idea that, you know, it's not the case. But, you know, watching Gremlins, I could not believe it. That, you know, I remember the horrible story that the one girl tells about her dad going down the chimney and like breaking his neck. About her dad.
In Gremlins?
What?
In Gremlins?
In Gremlins, yes.
I've only seen it one time.
Okay, well, she tells a story about her dad, you know, dresses up like Santa Claus and then tried to come down the chimney with like a bunch of toys, and he like slipped and like broke his neck, and they like found him like later.
Jeez.
Yeah, he was already dead. And it's a messed up story, but in this movie, which, you know, it's definitely a scary movie, but I think that at the time it was you know, it's a PG-13 movie, but like,
it was kids
aimed like kids. And then she says in the movie, she says, and that's how I found out that there was no Santa. And I'm like, I can't, like, I feel as though movies now, they never specifically say it.
Mm.
Does that make sense? Like, they never say it, like, straight up like that. And I was like, my wife like looks over at me. I'm like, I didn't know. I don't remember this. Like, I remember this story. I don't remember saying that though. And I was like, luckily, you know, like, I think that both my kids like weren't like paying like too close of attention at that approximate moment. But I was like, I can't believe it. So,
well, I mean, you know, for me, like, whenever stuff like that, like whenever kids would say something, or, you know, something would present evidence that seemed contrary to, you know, my firm belief in Santa, you know, I think a lot of people were like, oh, well, I guess it's not a thing. But then, like, I was always able to like somehow just like readjust my understanding of like what Santa was, you know? Mm-hmm. So like, you know, like, kids were like, well, he couldn't do that. Like, it's just not physically possible to go to every house in the world. And it's like, and I was like, oh, well, like, Santa was some, like, you know, like, oh, he's like this, based on this like historical figure. It's like, oh, it's like, so it's like a spirit that does this, right? Like, it, like, it doesn't have to make like sense in the realm of physics. It's, you know, right. Like, Like I was able to adjust my understanding for, a very long time. Man, this
I mean,
tough.
like my wife is very good about it. Like she just says, you gotta, if you wanna believe, then you can, and and the thing is that Santa only brings everybody like in the family like one present.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's kind of nice the way that like that works out, I guess. But I think that they just like to it's just like fun. I could not believe that this movie just like is straight up just says it. You know what I mean? Does that seem weird? I guess.
You mean, is it weird that you think that, or is it weird that the movie does it?
I'm surprised that the movie did that.
I'm surprised too.
But it's when I was watching it, it was very funny to see how it's PG-13 and about how like all this horrible stuff happens, and then they always like have some sort of like little slapstick thing that happens. To make it seem so it's not so violent. Like when the woman goes flying out the window on her like chair that takes her up the stairs. It's horrifying when she flies out, right? And she flies across the street and definitely dies like painfully. But then they cut to like cops looking at her and saying her name, and it cuts back to her, and it's just like it's her leg sticking out of the bush, like it's like like it's just kind of I don't know, it's just really funny the way that it's presented. And then I was laughing. There's like, I don't remember what happens exactly, but any movie that has, it can be when a movie that's kind of serious has something happen when a bunch of people fall over and it plays like bowling pin sounds. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, sure.
Where it just automatically makes it like slapstick, even when it's kind of serious. But it's very funny to me. And I had totally forgotten that Corey Feldman is in Gremlins, and man, that guy was just unstoppable in the stuff that he was in. For the 80s. It's pretty unbelievable. And not only that, but he's very rarely a main character. Like in Gremlins, he's just in it, like for probably a total of like less than 10 minutes.
I think it was him who was, I didn't recognize him at all. Last year, Drum and I went down the dark path of watching all of the Puppet Master movies. Very few are kind of good. Oh man, this is tough.
They ratcheted up difficulty here.
Yeah. I'm bad with rhythm anyway. But one of the last ones, I can't remember what it was called, but one of the very last ones had Corey Feldman, and he was like playing the father of this daughter who was like, I mean, she was like probably like college age, and he was like probably in like his 30s at the time that they shot that. They looked like they dyed his hair, and he was like talking in this kind of old man-y voice, like almost like the equivalent of like a Batman voice or something. Like it was it was pretty bad. And what's funny too is it's a Christmas movie.
Interesting.
And I can't remember what it was called. It was one of the later Puppet Master movies. Man, they were. It was we kind of dug into the larger filmography of Charles Band, who was the producer and director of some of those, and it was an experience.
I did watch the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special.
Oh, I don't say anything about it because I didn't even know it was out or even coming out this year until I saw something. It said like, "Oh, this item is in it," and I'm like, "Oh, I didn't even know it was out."
This item?
A particular item. I'm trying to not make spoilers.
Oh. Well, I'm wondering if it's like the thing, if it is what I think that it is.
It's that a certain video game thing may be in it.
Oh, okay. And
that was like I had no idea it was even out. Like I've got a good bit of Marvel catch up to do.
Well, I mean, it's worth just spending some time to watch it, like while it's in the season. Like you're not losing anything by watching it. You're not missing anything.
Is it not in? I mean, is it any of the other recent movies? Is it not in much continuity with them?
It's definitely its own thing, I guess. I mean, the only thing that it would be remotely in continuity with is probably Thor, but that's just like because they're only in the beginning of the movie.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the last time I saw Thor and the Guardians, he was with them, so
right. So, like that's not ruining anything. It's not like if you don't watch Thor first, it's not going to matter. I recommend watching it while you're in the.
Yeah, I'll try and make that a priority.
I mean, it's pretty inconsequential, but there is like one joke in it that like I was dying. It was unexpected and very, very funny.
I mean, I love the idea that like it makes so much sense for them to do a Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special just because of the infamous Star Wars Christmas special.
Yeah.
So it's I've been looking forward to it because it's just such a ridiculous thing for them to make.
But it's fun.
But I had no idea it was coming so soon.
If I really like that they're doing these specials, like the Werewolf by Night that they did was really good too.
What's that?
It's just like another like special feature, like a special presentation that kind of it released just before Halloween.
Oh,
it's like all in black and white.
Really? I had no idea. Is it based on previously existing like MCU characters,
stuff,
or
it introduces new characters that will probably show up in other things in the future. But it basically introduces a lot of stuff that'll probably play into, like the Blade movies and stuff. Like a lot of that supernatural,
I forgot that's
like
even coming to Marvel
and stuff and monsters. Yeah, it's a really fun format, I think, because they're generally around like 45 minutes.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Like the Guardians special is like 45 minutes long. I think the Werewolf.
I don't know why in my head I was thinking like, oh, it'll be movie length because that'd be crazy.
No, it's just like I just think it's kind of cool that it's like a one-off, and in a lot of ways I think that it's better than the show than some of the shows. It's just
I think
they
most
kind of let
recent
loose and have a unique style and stuff for them.
I think the most recent Marvel thing I've seen is Hawkeye. Or no, probably Multiverse of Madness. I think that's newer than Hawkeye.
Yeah,
so I've got catch up to do. I have not been finding the platforms at the. Oh wait, here's something.
there was a $4.99 from Ludicrous Fool 79, saying having thoughts of getting a new TV, specifically one with VRR. Judging by Digital Foundry, it can help with performance a lot. I mean,
yeah, I mean, I can finally use it much more easily on my setup now that I also have a HDMI 2.1 capable receiver, which was kind of the big hang up in my setup for a long time because I could use it, but I had to like connect directly to the TV to use it, which would mean I can't. It's just a hassle. I mean, I can't record while using VRR anyway, so it's not really a hassle for that, but it was just a hassle because like I just could not use it easily. So I'm glad I can now. I've not used it extensively since then though. I'm kind of in the latter chapters of Diofield Chronicle, which it should help in that. And I played it last night and I totally forgot to turn on VRR, but I should. Because it definitely has some performance issues. I'd be curious to see how it fixes that. But the thing is, I find myself using black frame insertion more than VRR. Like I am now. I mean, not that I could use VRR on the Switch and this game doesn't need it. But yeah, it can definitely help with performance issues. I tested it out in the Final Fantasy 13 sequels on Series X when I was doing that stuff for the Digital Foundry episode. And what was I? Well, I also tried out the VR modes on the Mister, which is interesting for stuff like, you can have like 50 hertz Double Dragon or, arcade version or whatever,
right, yeah.
Whatever the refresh of that is exactly. I forget, but you can have it be a smooth 50 as opposed to a 50 within a 60 container.
Yeah.
Or, other oddball refresh rates. I tried it with WonderSwan, and I couldn't seem to make it work right on my TV. Although I can get 75 hertz on my computer monitor for WonderSwan, and it looks quite good. But I couldn't get that to cooperate with my TV, though. I don't know if that maybe would require some further fiddling in the core, or like if can Mr. What is it trying to tell me about? Why is it informing me?
Well, they have a VRR mode in the INI settings now.
Right, but like I wonder if they like what would help with WonderSwan is if you could have a 120 hertz mode. If the Mister were capable of outputting that, then like WonderSwan should work fine in theory.
I don't know. I just think about how I got everything like running exactly how I want to right now, and there's I'm not gonna throw
I hear
any
ya.
like any wrench into like the way things move along.
Oh, I see.
Right now.
I hear you. Like I was not interested, honestly. I mean, I was interested, but not that interested. If it weren't for my C7's picture, like, you know, kind of degrading in a distracting way, like I was like, well, VRR and, you know, 4K 120 would be nice, but I don't have to have it. But like I found the, you know, the streaks on the C7 to be very distracting. So I was like, well, I kind of feel like I need to upgrade. Maybe I can make a video out of that. And it didn't go quite like I expected, but you know, once I had those features, then it's like, oh man, it's so annoying that I can't just use these features like I want to because of my AV receiver. So I finally did upgrade.
So it just makes me want to like wait even longer to like for things to be even more standardized, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because he ran into that problem where, you know, only certain ports on the receiver
even output to zone 2.
Yeah, and that's like that would be
the nice thing though is that it has allowed me to connect the other receiver upstairs.
Yeah, but
which was always like that was almost as big, if not a bigger motivator for whoa, I'm trying to find out what's over there. That was really kind of almost a bigger motivator for getting another receiver, is because I wanted to put that one upstairs because I had like a left and right audio balance issue that I couldn't solve without a more robust receiver that could, you know, balance that stuff per channel.
That's an expensive fix for.
Well, yeah, but it wasn't. I mean, obviously, it was useful for a variety of.
Yeah, but you're like, oh, it's like as a bigger, as just as big thing. It's like because, you know, I was slightly closer to one speaker than the other upstairs. You know.
Well, I was excited about that. And two, it also makes the HDMI routing up there a lot better too.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean that just makes me want to like just wait until everything is. I don't know. Like it's just I just want to like have everything work for a while. There was $2 from SNK Nostalgia.
Oh.
Saying the CX is the sweet spot. Blade OS for the win. So that's one thing I noticed. Like the living room TV that I have is an LG, but it's like the Nano LG, like Nano something.
It's got the same. It's got the interface that was introduced in 2021.
Yeah, and it's so much more sluggish.
Well, it's a bit less attractive.
But I feel like it doesn't like sometimes it'll like lock up for a split second.
Well, I mean, obviously the processor, you know, on that they probably don't have as robust of a processor in that as they have in the OLEDs. But like when I went from the,
it was like an $1,800 TV.
But when I went from the C2 to the C1, you know, it's the same general interface as well, but I did feel that the C2 was a little more sluggish than the C1, but it's actually kind of hard to say for sure because I was having an issue where the C2 and C7 remotes did not interfere with each other, but the C1 and C7 remotes did, and I was not able to use the C1 remote via Bluetooth while the C7 was in the same room, and their IR frequencies interfered with each other. It was a mess. It made that portion of the video very challenging. But
I do think it's funny how many comments we get on that video still saying like, can you give an update? It's like, did you watch the whole video?
Yeah. Well, they probably think, oh, like these guys are like big time YouTube reviewers. They can just like get more TVs whenever they want. No, I bought that TV, and I don't buy TVs more often than, anyone should. Or in this case, I did buy it more frequently than I should have, and that was 5 years later.
Yeah.
Like that's, I mean, check back in another 5 or 6 years for another TV review, maybe? Question mark? I don't want to have to buy a new TV that soon, but no. I mean, it's not, we aren't HD TV tests who's just like getting in literally every TV so they can test it,
There was $3 from Cade the Squirrel. Thank you. Saying, since it's unlikely that any new CRTs will ever be produced, what are your guys' thoughts on potential replacements for CRTs? Do you think that the OLED can match up to CRTs? Micro OLED is said to be even better, but isn't being used commercially yet. So I think the big test, for me at least, is, I'm just really interested and curious to see how the RetroTink 4K looks, like with the, HDR and the 4K overlays and stuff like that. I'm really curious to see how that comes out because, I think it's going to get real close.
Yeah. Black frame insertion is definitely one factor, and that's something that I'm not sure to what extent that problem can be further improved for 60 hertz content as it is. Because at 120 hertz, you do not perceive flicker. At 120 hertz, but at 60 hertz, you can still see it. See, like in a fast moving action game like this, like I don't really see it. But if I were to just stop and like focus on like that tan background, like, yeah, I can see the flicker, but depending on the game, your eye is either drawn to it or it's not. And whereas on a CRT, this is just me, like, I guess some maybe younger people who aren't used to CRTs or something might see a flicker. I can definitely see flicker with 50 hertz content, but I don't see flicker with 60. I don't really perceive it. I don't perceive it, but it is doing that, and that's the reason you don't have the persistence blur on CRTs, or at least part of the reason. Like persistence blur at this point, my understanding has more to do with with our eyes than with the technology. Like it holds the image until the next frame is ready. And I think people have said that if you get up to if we get up to 1,000 frames per second and 1,000 hertz displays, then it will be equal to CRT motion clarity. But the difference is you're going for a lot more frames to get that far. Mm-hmm. When you're at 120 though, you're pretty close. But the problem is all the retro content is not 120 hertz. It's 60 hertz. And if you were to increase your black frame insertions to 120 hertz for 60 hertz content, you get a double image effect. So it's a tricky problem, and I don't know how solvable it is.
Yep.
But visually, I think the RetroTink 4K is going to be real close. You know, the motion clarity aspect is kind of on the TVs, but you know, I have been thinking, like, could there be a technology that would also have that effect? Like, I don't know. I feel you could in theory get a black frame insertion effect on like projectors if it, depending on how it's done. Like you would, like for a DLP projector, I think you would need a full, you would need the 3 color wheels instead of the single color wheel, which is what causes the rainbow effect. You know, speaking of the projector, I was asking you. You know, I was at my parents' house for Thanksgiving, where I have that BenQ projector set up.
Right.
I was asking you, do you think I'm the first person to beat Grapple Dog on a projector? I mean, probably not, because I mean, I don't think projectors are necessarily that uncommon. You know, people who have projectors, there's probably people who bought the digital Grapple Dog. But you said I might be the first person to beat the physical Grapple Dog on a projector. Maybe.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, I think the chances are probably pretty good with that. There was $10 from Mega X6. Thank you. Saying, I bought the Atari 50 on a whim, thinking it would be okay, and I was really surprised. It's great. The game ranges from arcade to links with tons of historical info and stories.
Yeah, I only saw a tiny bit of the stream that John and Audie did with Mike Micah.
Yeah.
Well, like everything, like I haven't actually watched that much stuff on the game, but everything I have heard people say is like the presentation is the product. Because, the games themselves aren't all, I mean, some of them might be okay, but, the part that I tuned in on was
100 games on it. I'm sure there's more than just like a couple, like a few that are okay. I'm
but
sure that,
I do want to get it. And what Mike was saying on that stream was basically, and John and Audie were agreeing, like, a lot of times people are like, oh, why would you include this version? It's bad. But, what's this about? But the thing is, like, all that context is what makes it interesting. Like, oh, here's what it was like to play, this game on, if all you had was an Amiga, something like that.
Exactly. And that's the big thing with that collection, is that you can see it. Like, I don't really know how the museum itself is presented. I haven't watched very much on it either, but I've been really paying attention to people's reaction to it. I kind of have been like intentionally not looking at too much of it, because I want to be surprised by it when I do get it. And from what I understand, it's just really impressive the way that it can kind of go in and out of like the history and playing the game.
So it's almost like a campaign that's like,
oh, is it?
That's how you're describing it, like going between history and playing the game. Like, it sounds like it's like taking you on like a linear journey through these games.
I think that it has. I don't know for sure, but I assume that it has like a timeline of release probably, and you can go through that and like read about it, and then watch some interviews like based like on the game, and then play it. they were saying that what they wanted to do, but they couldn't yet, was to be able to have stuff in the museum where it talks about specific parts of the game, and then it has like checkpoints in the game that will take you directly to that point in the game.
Like, I wonder why they couldn't do that.
I think that he seemed to hint that they're doing something very similar to that, like with whatever they're working on now.
Ah.
And also like the ability to remove like textures of stuff, so you can see like the wireframes.
Oh, cool.
Stuff like that. So I don't know. I've been planning on purchasing it. My Target actually had it like out for sale like a week before it came out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I had it in my hand. I was gonna buy it, but I was like, I just don't have time for this right now.
I haven't seen any deals for it, but it did just come out.
Oh no, it's been basically it's normally $39.99. I think it's been $29.99. Like basically since like 2 days after it came out.
Oh, okay.
But I'm wondering if there's like which version is the one to get. I wonder if there's any benefit to buying on a PS5 versus on the Switch.
I ordered Cowabunga collection.
Okay.
Which you got that on PS5, right?
Yes.
I mean I have no idea what the differences are and if there's like any disadvantage to the Switch version, but I decided to get the Switch version just because of the controller options.
Yeah, I can understand that. I got the PS5 version because I just assumed that if there was input lag or sound delay, it would probably be the most minimal on that version.
Yes. Which that was what I was thinking as well. But I was like, I feel like, being able to use the NES Joy-Cons and the Genesis controllers and stuff like that would be very beneficial. Would be
I do agree with that.
Would be a big appeal for me.
The chances of me playing those versions, like seriously.
Yeah, and that was the other thought that crossed my mind. That's like, yeah, well, I'm gonna play the Game Boy ones. I'm gonna play my actual Game Boy versions and stuff like that. But at the same time, though, like, I could see myself playing the arcade versions that way. And even though, it doesn't necessarily make sense to use an NES controller or a Genesis controller or a Super Nintendo controller for those, I think I would still enjoy that more than a DualSense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the behind the scenes content and stuff is quite likely a little better on, like, I'm assuming it's 4K and assets and stuff on PS5. But I still thought like the Switch, I'm just gonna go for the Switch version for this. I was torn, but part of my thinking too was also, well, I've got Shredder's Revenge. I got the US version for Switch, but I also got the Japanese collector's edition, which was like the same price and included a CD and like a cool little standy thing. And I got that for PS4. And there is no PS5 version. Right?
As far as I know.
Yeah. So I was like, well, I could get PS5 Cowabunga collection, but there's no Turtles game for it to go beside on my shelf. So I thought, well.
Of Shredder's Revenge, you mean?
Right.
Oh, there's a PS5 version now.
Is there? There wasn't at first, though.
Limited Run has it up on their site. I think it ends tonight.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was added like after the fact. I mean, it was.
Well, that's tempting, but I don't realistically need that many redundant versions of Shredder's.
Exactly. I mean, I don't want to I'm sure the PS4 version just has a free upgrade anyways, or it's just like playable. It's like the same game. Replicant said, like, look what you guys said. He said, why even buy a game if you aren't going to play them at that point? Doesn't matter what version you had.
I know
and that's absolutely true. But you know, like I want to support releases like that. And you know, I will play. You know, I'll play Turtles 2 arcade game on there. I mean, it's certainly a heck of a lot better than playing the version that's on the Turtles 3, like the one that's on the whatever, like the 2004 games. And there's many different games that are not playable in any.
It's a lot more convenient than playing your arcade PCB.
Yeah, but but I will, you know, I'll play that arcade. Especially since the version in the game, they had to re-record the theme song.
Oh, that's true.
So, you know, if you want that authentic experience, like 100% authentic.
Are any of the Turtles games on Mystery yet? Are there Konami games yet?
I think it's Furtek that's doing has been working on Turtles 1, like decapping it and stuff like that.
Okay, cool.
But I'm not sure how far off it is. There is a PS5 version for Shredder's Revenge. I mean, why? Like, just probably because they can.
I think that's what it is for a lot of PS4 and PS5 games. It's like
might get some people double dipping.
Yeah.
I'm annoyed that certain games don't have free upgrades. Personally, like something like Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap has the PS5 version, and there's no like upgrade for it.
Interesting. But I wonder if there's even a tangible difference, because like that game wouldn't have been designed with that game wouldn't have been designed with 4K assets at the time. I don't think so.
It's probably no different.
It's probably no different. I mean, a lot of times, like, I almost think that the PS5 versions are an excuse for another physical publishing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's
which is an excuse. It's an excuse I support. I mean, there's nothing that's basically giving people who have liked the PS4 version a second chance to get it.
Yes, which is what happened. You know, Monster Boy has a free upgrade, but for people that didn't get the physical version, especially since it was expensive for a while there, this gives them another chance to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish that all games just got like a free upgrade.
Well, you know,
they had them like where they officially released.
You know what really annoyed me? I was really debating whether to get Little Nightmares 2, which I still haven't played the first one, but I want to. I mean, it seems like a game I would like. I have the first one on PS4, and there is like PS5 and Series X versions of Little Nightmares 2, but there's no like physical PS5 version of Little Nightmares 2. Like, as far as I could find, like, it just does not exist. There's a PS4 physical, which as far as I could tell gives you a free upgrade, but I was kind of annoyed. I was like, do I want to buy this? Like, and it like not be a native PS5 version? I don't know. It was kind of strange, but there's probably not going to be a better choice. But I know that the game has like ray tracing features and stuff like that. So it's like, you know, there is a tangible current gen upgrade.
Yeah.
But not on disc. And I severely doubt that the Series X version is on disc. And the Series X version actually launched with ray tracing disabled by mistake anyway. I remember that being a thing with the Digital Foundry coverage. Like it was just like when the game launched, ray tracing should have been on, but it wasn't on Series X for some reason.
Yeah. And, just things like that. Sometimes I think about how there's so, like, buying games now, there's so many things, like, you gotta think about.
I mean, you don't have to think about, but if...
It's almost, like, annoying. Like, it is annoying now.
Yeah, it's not like you have to think about these things, though. Like, most people don't. But,
right.
But
exactly.
we think about them like it's...
I think about it so much.
Yes.
Like, it feels like such a waste of, like, brain power. To be like, oh, like, I gotta, like, work out which version of this game. It's just like it's exhausting, like mentally exhausting. Like, I see Stefan says like Judgment and Persona 5 Royal have no upgrade at all. Like I don't understand why Persona did not have an upgraded version, like a free upgrade.
I was shocked to discover that it even has a native PS5 version.
Copy.
I knew they were making an Xbox version, but I don't, for some reason, like I thought they were, it was on PS4. I thought they were, I don't know. I didn't think they were doing that, but I guess they did. I didn't know about it until I saw the Digital Foundry video. I'm like, oh wait, there's a PS5 version? Huh.
There's $9.99 from Silly Jokes 34.
Silly Jokes. Thank you.
Saying, following up on my PS3 RGB suggestion from 90 minutes ago, I learned so much from your PS2 RGB and played Dragon Quest VIII on my backwards compatible PS3 and M cable. For PS3, all I know is HDMI and would love some similar guidance.
I mean, with PS3, I mean
I'm gonna run to the bathroom.
I mean, making sure you're using like limited range or full range and matching settings on your TV. I mean, it should be automatic, but like what I find is if you use, like at least with the one that I'm using currently, like I'm using a splitter that strips HDCP, which lets me it lets me capture PS3 over HDMI. And the one I'm using currently seems to force a limited range signal. So if I don't set the PS3 to match, then I lose detail. And remember, it's fine to use limited range instead of full range. It's not a perceptible difference. It's just about which color standard is being implemented on the TV, but both should look the same if they're properly configured. I mean, when it comes to PS3, like kind of, like the projectors video was actually kind of a big PS3 was in 720p games in general were kind of a big part of my interest in that, because native 720p screens like almost don't exist. Like if a TV says it's 720p, it's actually, I always forget what the number is, 968p I think, or something like that. I thought that was really interesting, and seeing like native 720p games at 720p, although games that output on its 720p on PS3 are not necessarily always actually native 720p. They can be lower. They often are. But still, I think it looks nicer than just outplaying at 1080p. Really, though, I think the magic bullet for PS3 could potentially be the RetroTink 4K. You know, this is something I've been meaning to refresh myself on, because it seems like something I really should know, and I assume Mike Chi has put the information out there. Does anyone know, does the RetroTink 4K have HDMI inputs? I mean, even if it doesn't, using 720p content with it is one of the things I'm most interested in. Does anyone know if it has 4K input? Because it definitely should. I mean, I wouldn't say should. I mean, you know, Mike's in charge. he knows the costs and the tier of product he is targeting to create. But I would love it, is all I'm saying. 4K has an HDMI input, yeah. So that's I think what I'm most excited about, because I have tested PS3, like a native 720p game, like especially like a pixel art game, like one of the Arc System Works games, like Persona 4 Arena or something like that, or Hardcore Uprising. Those look so good, I think, with the 720p to 1440p on the RetroTink 5X, and using scan lines. Like you wouldn't think that would make sense for 720p. But that separation of the scan lines like creates this, I don't know, there's just something that feels really right about it. Like it's almost like it feels like it somehow reduces the panel, like a native 1440p panel's resolution to 720p. Like it's strange, but it feels really right. And being able to do that at 4K, I'm so interested to see where that goes. So I think that I think when the RetroTink 4K comes along and we do a video on it inevitably, that's going to be, to me, the big story is PS3 and Xbox 360 and Wii U and PS TV and Switch to an extent.
Yep. Heck yeah. All right. So did you see the silly jokes 34 was saying, I didn't mean right now, a PS3 RGB video?
yeah. But since I don't know when or if such a video would come, I thought I'd give the impromptu version.
There's also $20 from EB Chill 2. Thank you. Saying, I remember I asked John Linneman about PS3 on a CRT. He said if you set the PS3 to 480i, you get a much more stable frame rate. Game to game, though, I'm always switching between CRT to HDMI. And that's,
it depends on the game. Yeah, I mean, I think it's more common than you would think, though. It's not something I've personally experimented with much, but it's very interesting how that can happen. Yeah.
Right. And it's such, like for my 360, PS3, and Wii U, I basically keep the system in 720p mode.
I think there's actually quite a few Wii U games though that are native 1080p, and of course so for PS3.
Well, if I like, the chances of me playing one of those is probably small, but if I do, I would switch it to that.
However, like I think PS3 is the only one where that actually impacts the frame rate. 360 and Wii U, like it just scales it down to 720p, whereas PS3 actually like changes the rendering resolution for some.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Something I've kind of had on my mind lately. I found like a partial list. It couldn't have been complete of like Xbox 360 games that support 4:3 aspect ratio.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was kind of thinking like I would like to do a video sometime playing PS3 and Xbox 360 games, maybe even Wii and Wii U games if this even applies to Wii U, that have like proper 4:3 modes. Because I was using widescreen from the get-go on Wii, and I know that a lot of people don't prefer to use it because of, you know, you're stretching the pixels, so you're not actually getting more resolution, but you are getting a wider field of view with most widescreen implementations. So I do still prefer to use it on the Wii. But like I kind of would just like to, like it would be difficult to make a definitive list, let alone even have access to all of the games. But like I just think looking at like a bunch of games that have on that generation of hardware that has like native 4:3 modes, because most games were designed primarily for 16:9 in that era. And but if you like convert the HDMI to VGA, dang it. If you convert the HDMI to VGA and play it on a VGA monitor, it feels real comfy, you know? And most people just aren't going to have a widescreen VGA CRT. And, you know, it's much more common to have a 4:3 one. And, you know, I just think it would be interesting, like, hey, what games look really nice, like converted for VGA output that properly support 4:3? I mean, it's a niche thing like your downscaling video, but that video did surprisingly well.
Yeah. What is somebody like? There was recently a comment on that video that said, you know, like, how come you didn't cover the upscaling features of the GVS?
It's like it wasn't a review of the device, really.
No, I mean that wasn't even the point of the video.
That was your way of like coming up with a good reason to
like do something
do something with it, yeah. Because you're like, oh, well, I'll look at the feature that's like most interesting to me.
Yeah. I had something in my head that I wanted to talk about, and I totally forgot what it was. Oh well. Maybe I'll remember it. Remember it later. I gotta say, this game's going on for a while. I thought it'd be like a quick game, but it's like,
I mean, I've been going out of my way to explore and try, because I still don't really know what triggers whether the secret item appears at the end of the level. So I'm definitely not going to have them all, but I'm trying to explore, you know. But I think it would be pretty breezy if you did just want to run through it. I mean, it's you know, it's interesting. It's somewhat similar. It's a different developer, but it's somewhat similar to like the Tori 2 and Tori 3D games. Like they're really kind of focused on speed and linearity for the most part, which is honestly like a style of 3D platformer that didn't really exist in the heyday of 3D platformers. They were very much exploration based for the most part. But I think that's fine. Like, I feel like some of these games on the eShop have kind of like almost created like a new type of 3D platformer, and I'm kind of into it. You know, whereas like, you know, I sort of criticized the Hat in Time for like, well, it's like, it doesn't feel like it's actually following the design of a 3D platformer from the era that it seems to be going after. It bothered me in that game, but like these games, like this and the Ciactro games that are kind of going for their own thing, like it doesn't bother me that they aren't totally authentic to the style of design that would have been common at the time that they're pulling inspiration from, because I feel like they've done their own thing with it successfully enough, and I enjoy it.
I think for a $5 game, this seems
pretty
like
packed.
a lot of content for a $5 game. It's even got those grinding that has the balance things from Tony Hawk in it. So I saw somebody mention this game in relation to playing it at a Sonic game jam type thing. And like,
is that where it was made, or someone? It was like,
so there was a demo of it at that. So I wonder if this is like started out as like a Sonic fan game to an extent.
I could see that. Like the candy level actually had like sort of a tan and brown checkerboard pattern going on that was very Sonic like. Whoops. I mean, it's actually it's tougher than I expected, but you know, it's very easy and breezy to continue, you know?
Yeah.
And all of the collectibles that you picked up before after the checkpoint, but before dying, are still collected. So that's really nice. And there's like 2 levels in each world. And they're pretty substantial.
Do you know how many worlds there are? Do you think you're close to the end?
I think I'm on the second to last. I actually did not think this was going to take the whole stream. But it does seem on track to do so.
Yeah.
I think most likely what triggers the platforms to appear. I think I'm totally wasting my time smashing these crystals. That's probably one reason it's taking so long. But I feel compelled to smash them. I kind of think what triggers the secret platforms is getting the Hana letters, which I only got 1 in this level somehow. But I kind of think that's what it is, but to be honest, I haven't been paying close enough attention to what correlates. But like, I bet there would be platforms right here. There's probably like a secret ending or something, or an unlockable character that I could get if I got all those. I think if I'm not mistaken, I saw that. I think that like McBat is an unlockable character in this.
Oh, really?
I think so. Yeah.
Brady in the chat is saying that Nintendo Life Review was saying that it was made by a Twitch streamer who was going to make a small game over a month, but ended up dedicating.
Oh wow, that's really cool. Oh, this looks like the last level. This moon on the map is giving me like Klonoa vibes. Oh, it looks like this one has 3 levels. So there's 7 worlds.
This will be good if this is the last. I don't want to go too far over. I got a dentist appointment like real early in the morning. I don't want to go like too late.
Yeah, well, it looks like there's 3 levels, but I'll try to. Oh, there's different colors.
Yeah, I mean, if there's 3 more levels, that's the last one. I mean, let's see.
It won't be too bad. I'll try to not go too crazy on getting too obsessive about collecting
those crystals.
Well, destroying all the crystals, because I don't think it actually does anything, and I won't I just missed a crane. Like I'm not going to. I'll try to get what I can, but I'm not gonna. I'll be a little less obsessive in this level, because it's not like I've collected everything. If I had collected everything up to this point, I'd be a little more worried about it. But
yeah. Yep. Going to the dentist. When was the last time you went to the dentist?
Maybe a month ago.
Oh, okay. I've met several people in recent months who haven't been to the dentist in almost 10 years.
It's just I mean,
they're like, oh, I just I take care of my teeth and I just. Nothing. I haven't had any pain.
I mean, it's just something that's been drilled into me my whole life.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's like you go to the dentist. I mean,
it's not fun, but it's
I've never minded, but I gotta say the last time I went was there was a new hygienist, and she was a little rough. I
can't wait to hear how my dentist doesn't know what to do about my one tooth over here. Well, the filling, if that filling comes out, I don't know what to do. I don't know what we're gonna do.
Oh yeah, I think you've told me about that.
Every time, I'm sure he's gonna tell me the exact same
I just don't know what I'll do.
I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
I mean, maybe you should have a different dentist if your dentist doesn't know what to do.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm starting
to feel that way.
That's why I started going to a different vet for Sandy, because it was I felt like every concern I had, it's I don't know, it could be this, could be that, and then I'd go for a follow up, trying to get a clearer answer on a certain thing. It's it's just never wanted to give a commit to just saying oh, this is what this is, you know?
Yeah.
To have a clear and confident plan of what to do, or an understanding of the problem.
Oh, also so yesterday, if you didn't know, yesterday was Small Business Saturday, right?
Oh, okay.
So I made a decision yesterday that whenever I go to a locally owned business, I'm going to buy a T-shirt from that business. And I'm gonna wear it on whatever episodes of the show going forward, as a way to support and not only wear game stuff in episodes.
I mean, you wear quite a bit of stuff that's not game stuff.
Exactly.
I usually don't.
That's my attempt to not do that more, I guess. But I thought I'm gonna different places around here. There is a locally owned candy shop here that we went to last night. I bought a T-shirt. That.
You know, being in space here is kind of reminding me that I played beautiful Katamari on. Well, the 360 game, but I play it on Series X. I played it on the Backloggery stream Monday, and I was really surprised by it. It was an excellent experience. Because you and I had a very similar experience where we loved the first Katamari, and then we love Katamari, like kind of turned us off.
Lost the plot
from the rest of the series because it was so focused on like gimmicks and not just like making a big Katamari. Like the first game has a few levels like that, but I played demos of like some other Katamari games that gave me the impression that they still had like a lot of like variety levels, which just didn't interest me that much. And oh, a cutscene.
There's a cutscene?
Yeah. Whoa. It's kind of trippy. Moon Infinity. But anyway, like it turns out that Beautiful Katamari is like almost entirely about building just a certain size of Katamari in basically every level. And
you said it's like 4 hours long.
It took me like, it really should have been like 3.5, but I screwed up on the last level, which was, pretty time consuming.
Yeah.
Because I didn't understand I was like supposed to do something at the end of the level. Something other than just letting the timer run out. But yeah, I mean, it was great. Now I talked to John about it the next day. He's like, oh, that one runs really badly on original hardware, but it's unlocked, so it's like awesome on Series X. But he says like it's like 35 FPS most of the time on 360. I didn't like that one as much as the PS3 game. He said, but like,
are they like very close?
I know. I think they're pretty different. And the PS3 one, like I know I played a demo of it back in the day, but until I saw John's video, I had no recollection of it having this like sort of sketched cell shaded look. But that was what was in John's 1080p Dream video. I was like, wow, I really don't remember looking like this. I almost got it at Retro World Expo, but I went back to the booth like not that much later and it was gone.
Oh wow.
Oh, like why do I have this speed boost now? What did I do wrong to not have that? But anyway, I thought it was like a great, very tight, short experience. And I loved it.
Well, that sounds like a relaxing.
A good evening.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm gonna make that pile of. You should do the same. You should like make a pile of like 10 games that you're gonna play next year.
And we should put it in the video.
Yeah.
Like these are the games that like that if these games don't appear in the games we played in 2023, I want you to get on my case about it.
Well, I don't know. I think
how did I get that speed boost that one time? I don't know how I got that.
Is it a button?
I don't think so. I think it was just like I built up momentum somehow. And I can't seem to make this jump.
You're double jumping over the speed pad.
There's a speed pad. I have never seen it. I'll keep an eye out for it this time. What?
Right there.
I hit it, but I literally did not see it. I literally did not see it. Oh, okay. I didn't realize that you retained high speed after going on that kind of platform. I thought those were only fast when you were on them. I didn't. Okay, I get it, I guess. Okay.
I wonder if that one jump that you were trying to make before was similar.
I don't know. Okay. I get it now, but it's still pretty tricky. Okay, got it.
A lot of talk about the PS3 in the chat, talking about the GPU, like, or the cell processor.
Yeah, that was kind of the end of visionary hardware design.
Yeah. The end of systems being built uniquely from each other.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it's sad, but it also makes a lot of sense. Why?
Yeah.
Am I like supposed to build up speed here somehow?
I wonder if that last level will be a boss. It would be cool if they just threw a boss in at the very end.
Yeah, I guess I hadn't really thought about how there hadn't been bosses. And like that mushroom that I opened up there, it'll stay open even after retrying, so that's not going to be a hassle.
So if anybody in the chat has hacked a PS3, I have like an early gen slim system, not a super slim, but it's like the earlier slim systems. So I want to upgrade the drive that's in it to like the SSD, but the only way to do that is you got to install the newest firmware. Does anybody know if it's still possible to like hack it as easily with the newest firmware?
I mean, wasn't there a firmware like really recently?
Yeah, that's what I mean. All it did was the ability to like add or create new accounts on it, I think. I know it's bottlenecked. It's just the fact that I just wanted to put an SSD in it just for like they have less moving parts.
Yeah. I mean, I know that it like can't properly utilize it, but the fact of the matter is you're not making enough reads and writes to a PS3 for it to like really have any longevity concerns, I think.
Yeah.
It does benefit because I've had one ever since I made a point to put an SSD in my PS3 when the PS4 came out, because I was like, well, now that the generation's over, now that I'm not using it as much, this feels like a good thing to put in it for posterity. And it absolutely does make a difference in the just in the snappiness of the system menu. Especially if you have like a bunch of games installed or a bunch of like music or video files or something, it absolutely loads like the thumbnails like a lot faster. And it has benefit in some games, like I mean, not that you would ever choose to play the Skyrim, the PS3 version of Skyrim, but it apparently helps with that. You know, in the Digital Foundry video on Final Fantasy 13, I noted that, you know, because there is an optional install to the hard drive of Lightning Returns, I did. It actually slightly beat the installed game on Xbox 360, like by less than a second or something. But I did note that, well, because I have a SSD in my PS3, like it's possible that influences the speed. You know, so it might not be the most accurate result, but like, and yes, I have another PS3, but I wasn't about to go through some great effort to determine like whether like a 1 second difference like was because of an SSD and and like a game this old. Like no one cares. I was just like, I'm just going to admit, hey, there's an SSD in my PS3. Like that could influence something. End of story. I'm not testing this again.
There's $9.99 from Nick's Journey or Nike's Journey.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Saying a little tip for Lunistice. Saying if you quickly press the spin button after the midair jump, you might have a higher height of distance, giving you a better chance to maintain hard to reach platforms.
Really? If you keep tapping the attack button?
You quickly press the spin button after the midair jump. I don't know if it's just once or if it's a bunch of times.
I mean, I can't see that it has an effect. I can't tell. I still don't know what the green thing following me is. I don't notice it most of the time, but it sure is there.
No, my PS3 has regular firmware in it right now, but I want to put custom firmware on it and then install a new drive. So I want to do the new drive and then I'll do the custom firmware. So people are saying I could just download like the same version I already have, like find and download an older version. So I can do the upgrade of the hard drive. I just want to hack it because you never know when it might come in handy. Am I planning emulation? No, it's just, you know, it's always handy to have that kind of stuff on hand in case like we need footage of a specific game or something like that. I mean, I don't know exactly when I'm going to do it, but I think that it will be probably after the new year, I'm guessing.
You know, not that I think necessarily the same tone was implied, but when they said playing emulation, it sort of made me think of how I showed a picture of my college computer that I was, you know, trying to revive. You know, the one I was talking about earlier, and I was having issues getting Windows XP running properly.
Yeah.
And I have a CD drive, a DVD RW drive, and another DVD RW drive. And so I was like, oh, someone was burning some discs. And I'm like, I'm a videographer. Like, people used to want DVDs for everything. You know,
Yeah.
like it's just it makes me think of how and they said, but you did have a chipped PS1, didn't you? And I'm like, I didn't. But oh, here's showing that I only got 2 out of 6 things. I got more than that. And you know, it kind of makes me think of like how you know, long time ago my dad saw the streaming mic that I had set up in my old apartment. He was like, well, I hope you aren't blasting your neighbors away with that. And I'm like, it's for recording, not amplification. like you know, like is it funny? Like some people, like, just depending on like your job or what you work in, like some people would see certain objects totally differently, right? Like most people would see a microphone and think amplification, not recording, right? And like most people would see DVD drives and thinking like, oh, you're making copies of stuff. And it's like, well, you know, there's other purposes to these things that I need to like I actually have need of the intended purpose of these things. All right, what's going to happen here?
Oh, is it going to be the end?
I don't know if my lack of collectibles are going to deny us something here.
There was $5 from Dad1153 saying, have you played Nights in the Dreams?
Congratulations, you beat the game. Now play it again, but with a bunch of different characters. Okay. So,
Dad1153 with $5 says, have you played Nights in the Dreams on Series X at 60 FPS? It looks gorgeous when unlocked. Frame rate doesn't slow it down, but my 30 FPS timing messes with me. You know, I have it, but I haven't played it on Series X. I didn't realize that it was 60.
I'm not sure I realized that there was a 360. It's a 360 version, I guess.
Yep.
Interesting. So it said play. Oh wait, it said character.
But no, I'm gonna have to. I will have to give that another shot.
Oh, maybe, I'm not sure. Maybe McBat isn't in this. Tori is in this.
Oh,
No
yeah.
attack, dies in 1 hit, runs very fast, and is cute burb.
Does it say cute burb?
It's giving you all of the pointers. It's about the character. Is cute burb. Let's
But thank you.
mess
Dad.
around
Yeah,
as Tori
1.5.
for the heck of it.
I will definitely check that out. Might be getting time to revisit Christmas Nights, which I'm pretty sure is included in there since it's a port of the PS2 version, right? You should have it since we share the account. I bet you have it on your list there on your.
But it's cool that they changed the collectibles for the character.
Oh yeah.
But Tori can't attack, but he's fast. So if you wanted to go back and do all the collectibles, I imagine that there's probably
one last level.
Yeah. It said you beat the game though, so. Oh, interesting. So I actually thought I would have access to the other levels.
Oh wow! So it's like a whole new game. What other characters are there?
There's this owl thing or something.
The owl.
Oh, she's got like a sword.
Oh, and she has a triple jump.
She looks like she's collecting bombs. Yeah, so she would probably be the easiest character for getting all the collectibles if you wanted, I would guess.
Mm-hmm. SNK Nostalgia, I still have my Turtles arcade and an X-Men on my 360. I never got Simpsons though. I wish I did. I actually have the demo downloaded on my PS3, but that's it. And Afterburner, I have Afterburner Climax on 360 and on the and on the PS3. You know, I might have the Steam version too. I wonder if I can play that on the Steam Deck.
All right. Well, that was a pleasant little jaunt.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. So yeah. Anything else?
He's asking if we get a real tree or an artificial, and you know, we were like growing up, we were real tree, and we had a real tree until about 4 or 5 years ago, and we switched over to artificial. It's just too much work.
Yeah, when I was very young, we had an artificial. I always wanted real trees, and we eventually switched to real trees. Well, I was probably like 7, I'd say. And we stuck with real trees up until I want to say sometime when I was in college. And my dad was like never that into it because he hated going, because we went to this place that like where you actually like went out in the woods, like and got to like pick your own and cut your own. He hated it.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't sound like any fun at all.
I mean, it was fun for me as a kid.
Yeah. But I mean, I would be like dreading that. Like,
but yeah, once I was in,
I'd be dreading doing it again.
Well, once I was in college, it went back to artificial, but they look so much better than they used to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy with the with it, and now we can like we make it in the afternoon out of it. It's like we always do it like the day after Thanksgiving, and set it up and get everything out of the garage, and it's just nice. It's nice to be able to do that, and then you don't have any cleaning up to do, like when you're done. So I don't miss it. I don't miss it. Like growing up, like my parents were divorced, but my dad would always like take us to get a Christmas tree and then help us set it up at my mom's house. It was always a nice little family thing. But, and I will try to get you a photo of Nelly in a Santa hat.
No promises about Sandy. I don't know if she would tolerate it too much. Although I saw one that my mom had knitted that would probably be about her size. You look sleepy and grumpy.
So, would you give this game a
That's good.
or a?
That's disgusting.
It definitely gets a that's good.
Okay.
That's good.
Would you? Someone was asking if you'd like to see a sequel to it.
Of course. I mean, I think this is so. I mean, it sounds like this is kind of like the first, sort of at least major game from this developer. I was under the impression, considering they said that it was going to be they were going to make it like a short game that would take a month, but then spend a year. I mean, I definitely want to see where they go. I think they're off to a strong start, and I I am in favor of the revival of the retro 3D platformer. So
yeah,
good.
But is it better than Chubbins? It's not better than Chubbins.
I haven't played Chubbins for myself, so yeah. I'm afraid to say I cannot compare.
Chubbins.
I'll say it's probably better than Fuse.
Then what?
Better than Fuse. I mean, maybe not like significantly better than Fuse, but it's probably better than Fuse. It definitely has a stronger creative spark.
Yeah, you know what a game that is not better than Fuse?
What's that?
G.I. Joe Operation Blackout.
Oh yeah,
it's not better than Fuse. I was recording some footage for it because I played through it like co-op with my son this year, and I wanted to. So there's a couple of bits in the year-end video of games that I played with my kids, and I'm gonna get some like on-camera comments from them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and one of those was G.I. Joe Operation Blackout, and I was popped it in to get some footage, and I'm like, this is about the most bland game that I could think of. like it makes, I say it actually in the script that it makes Fuse look like a masterpiece.
I feel like every game we play from now on in the stream, we have to determine if it's better than Fuse, if it's better than Chubbins.
Yeah, it's is it somewhere in between?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where Chubbins stands in relation to Fuse, to tell you the truth. So,
yeah, G.I. Joe is not good. It's just it is the most boring game that I've played in a long time.
But did you and your son finish it?
We finished it, yeah.
What system?
Yeah, and he had a great time with it, and that was kind of the whole that I kind of talk about. Like, there's a bit in the year end video where I talk about G.I. Joe, and I talk about Sonic Forces. And the whole thing is like, sure, these games aren't great, but for somebody who hasn't played a lot of games like my son, he had an absolutely amazing time with both of these games.
It's amazing what can make an impression on you when you have so much less experience, and it doesn't make it a bad experience.
Like, he will probably, like, one day he might see G.I. Joe Operation Blackout and at a flea market or something, like, oh man, this game is awesome. I love this game.
I know. I mean, the sad reality is that's why at times it can be so hard for like a new game that you play to be like, this is one of the best games I've ever played, because you have so much more experience
to choose from.
But a lot of it also comes down to expectations. Just like I had such a great time with Katamari, beautiful Katamari, and part of that came down to I didn't have the highest expectations for the Katamari sequels.
Yeah.
But it really surprised me, and I just had a fantastic time with it.
There was $4.99 from Nick's Journey. Again, thank you.
Thank you.
And there's another good upcoming indie game called Aero GPX. It's a spiritual successor to F-Zero. Free demo on Steam. Highly recommended, fellas.
Yeah, I played the demo of another racing game on Steam. It was I can never remember what it was called, because unfortunately it doesn't have the most striking name. It was the one that Dave recommended I try.
Oh, right.
I cannot remember what it's called. It was like the cartoony
that Slipstream game that I
yeah, but I think it's coming to consoles as well. Hopefully a physical.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, is that anti-aliasing that we have in the chat here? I feel like it's been a long time.
I don't know if it's the same.
I don't know.
We'll just pretend they're the same person until they both show up in the chat at the same time. But I guess that's gonna do it. Like I said, I got a dentist appointment.
Yep.
Early tomorrow, so. Oh, okay. It's anti-alias. Its name is anti-alias.
That's always one of my favorite usernames. Alrighty, well.
I hope everyone has a great week.
Yep.
Thank you to everybody who donated, and I hope everyone has a great week ahead of them. Hopefully, it's if you've had a few days off, it's easy to get back into the routine.
And fingers crossed, the episode should be done by the stream next week. That's my goal.
All right.
All right.
Take care, everybody.